On the very day Ethan rose to the top of the class rankings, he couldn't wait to share the news with his beloved. Serafina, unexpectedly, asked him to admit he cheated, just to help a struggling classmate, Liam, in their class. With a sarcastic tone, she said, "Oh, please, how could you possibly rank first? Besides, Liam really needs that scholarship. Your family's a bunch of nouveau riche. Can't you just give it up for him?" Not only did Ethan not refuse, he immediately agreed without hesitation. But in the very next second, he sent the entire call recording straight to the principal's office. "Sorry," he stated in the email. "I want to transfer schools. Apparently, being nouveau riche means I'm not allowed to be top of the class." The principal was stunned. After looking into the matter, Serafina was immediately issued a disciplinary warning. Furious, Serafina blocked him, declaring she never wanted to see him again. And indeed, she didn't see him when school started again, because Ethan had already transferred to the elite experimental class of the city's top high school as the lowest-ranked student. Chapter 1. The Emperor's New Realm. After enduring a string of low points, taunts from rivals, betrayal by his childhood friend, and a carefully orchestrated campaign of social isolation, Ethan still came out on top, ranked first in the entire class. His father now believed he was a once-in-a-generation genius. He was planning to pull some strings to transfer him into the elite experimental class at the city's top high school, where talents from all corners gathered. "Gauss spent a whole night on that problem," his father declared. "My son solved it in seconds with Gauss's formula. Newton was in his 20s when he grasped the 3 laws of motion. My son mastered them at 16. Ethan straightened his back, chin held high, and asked, "Why were they born before me? Was it the slow birds fly first? Or were they simply afraid of my brilliance?" His father's eyes suddenly turned distant, heavy with meaning. He let out a deep sigh and said, "It is because kings must never. My son, I've watched you grow with pride, and now at last, I, the Emperor, can pass down my throne in peace. My child, I've watched you grow up with pride, and now I, the Emperor, can finally pass my throne to you in peace." His dad's name was Julius, and everyone around him jokingly called him the Emperor. Since Ethan was little, Julius had always called him Crown Prince. That joke was something only the two of them ever took seriously. "To wear the crown, you must bear its weight, Ethan," Julius said. "You must become a worthy emperor. Do you understand?" Ethan nodded solemnly and replied, "I, the Emperor, know exactly what must be done." After he posted on WeChat, declaring his triumphant rise to the top of the rankings and his successful coronation, Serafina called. Mockery laced her voice. "Ethan, please you? First place? Trying to get my attention by cheating? Is that fair to those who actually work hard?" Ethan took a deep breath. A worthy emperor must keep his emotions hidden and strike only when the time is right. He asked, "Oh, then tell me, who exactly is my success unfair to?" She paused, then let out a snide laugh, as if she'd realized something. "You're just jealous of Liam and targeting him on purpose. I can't believe I didn't see how gross you were before. You'd better confess to cheating and return first place to him, or I won't talk to you next semester." Ethan replied calmly, "But I didn't cheat. You can check the surveillance footage or ask the teacher to give me another test." Serafina was stunned for a moment, then snapped irritably, "Do you really have to be so petty? You know Liam needs that scholarship more than you. Your family's loaded. Can't you just let him have it?" Ethan looked deep inside. Back when he was just crown prince, he had promised her an empire as his dowry, to make her his empress. Who could have known that after meeting Liam, she'd change her heart? Every time they argued, she'd side with outsiders against him. The emperor used to let it slide for the sake of their childhood bond. But now, he was the emperor, and how dare Serafina, a mere subject, speak to him like that? It was time she learned a lesson. He agreed and said, "All right, I'll talk to the principal." She froze for a second, clearly not expecting him to be so agreeable this time. Then she scoffed and said, "You know what, forget it. I'll forgive you this once. Just don't use such cheap tricks next time." Ethan immediately emailed the recording of their conversation to the principal's office. "Sorry," he wrote. "I want to transfer schools. Apparently, nouveau riche kids aren't allowed to be number one." She messed with him, but this time she hit a wall of steel. No one in class wanted to be friends with him, so he'd go straight to the office to ask teachers for help. Even the principal knew who he was. His grades had been personally raised by the hard work of every subject teacher. Aside from Serafina, probably no one ever doubted the legitimacy of his scores. Soon, the school administration called his dad to ask about the situation. As it happened, the transfer process was already finalized, so Julius took the opportunity to make it official. From then on, Ethan had nothing to worry about. When the new semester began, he heard that Serafina's disciplinary punishment and public reprimand caused quite a stir. She declared she never wanted to see him again, and of course she didn't, because by that time, Ethan was already in the elite experimental class of the city's top high school, proudly ranked dead last on the placement test. Chapter 2. A New Alliance. Ethan stared at the test paper, unable to recover for a long while, murmuring to himself, "How could this happen? Wasn't I supposed to be a genius?" The girl sitting next to him leaned over, glanced at his paper, and couldn't help but burst into a laugh. Under the stern gaze of the emperor, she immediately corrected herself. "Of course you're a genius, but even if you're one in 10,000, well, our country has a population of 1.4 billion, so keep a calm heart." Ethan nodded in satisfaction and rewarded her with a bottle of milk. "Classmate," he said, "I look forward to learning from you in the future." She propped her chin in her palm, looking amused. Then she said, "Crown Prince, you really don't remember me? My dad and your dad are good friends." Oh, now he remembered. She was Mr. Sullivan's daughter, Anna Sullivan. They'd met once at some party. Mr. Sullivan always bragged about how amazing his daughter was, which neither Ethan's dad nor Ethan enjoyed, so they'd ignored him. But now, a worthy emperor must humbly accept wise counsel. He might need her help solving problems from now on. So he gave her a modest smile and said, "Of course I remember. That night at the party, you were the prettiest of all. My eyes had room for no one else." Moderate praise helped strengthen the relationship between ruler and subject. Anna's hand slipped, and she smacked her forehead on the desk with a thud. Startled, Ethan reached out to support her. "Anna, are you okay?" It took her a while to lift her head, turning her face away to look out the window, refusing to look at him. Her ears were completely red. She mumbled, "I'm fine, just low blood sugar." Ethan nodded. "Oh." Then he said nothing more, lowering his head to seriously correct his memorials, aka test mistakes. An emperor is a very busy man. The homeroom teacher was a serious-looking woman. After briefly introducing Ethan to the class, she began the lesson. It was his first time experiencing such a strong academic atmosphere. No cliques, no isolation or gossip, only enthusiastic discussions about problem-solving strategies. With Anna's help, he quickly adapted to the new environment and received an encouraging welcome. She said, "If you don't understand something, come ask me." Only two people didn't seem too fond of him. One was David, the strict class discipline officer. In his eyes, Ethan was just another rich kid trying to gold-plate his resume, wasting a valuable spot and sucking up education resources. The other was Chloe, a class goddess and straight-A student, who kept her distance from everyone. Anna, being her childhood best friend, brought Ethan over to introduce them. She said, "Ethan, this is my bestie. She's ranked #1 in the whole grade. If even I can't solve something, you can ask her too." Ethan's eyes lit up, and he was just about to extend a hand in greeting when he heard a cold voice. Chloe didn't even look up, just gave a light snort and said, "If you have time to chat, you might as well do 2 more sets of basic exercises." She had a delicate nose, soft lips, and even the sunlight seemed to favor her. Anna poked her in the head, displeased. "Ethan is my friend. Mind your tone." No matter, Ethan thought. Talented beauties tend to have a bit of a temper. I, the emperor, am always generous and kind. He patted Anna lightly and said, "It's fine. #1 always has a problem with other #1s. It's natural." Anna speechless. Chloe speechless. She finally lifted her lashes and gave him a cold, sideways glance, as if he'd insulted her. Later that afternoon, the homeroom teacher reshuffled seats based on their test results, and Chloe became his new desk mate. She actually took the initiative to speak, pointing her slender finger at him. "Classmate, it's true that #1s don't like each other, but you are numbered dead last." Ethan was furious. "How dare you, Chloe, insult the emperor like this in the grand court of academia? Just you wait." Chapter 3. Imperial Lessons. The driver, Carlos, who usually picked Ethan up and dropped him off at school, had a severe case of hemorrhoids and needed surgery. During this time, Ethan originally planned to take the bus home by himself, but Anna took the initiative to invite him into her family's car when she found out. She said, "Crown Prince, it's on the way, let's go together." Ethan thanked her and then corrected her. "I'm not the Crown Prince." Anna thought he was upset and quickly explained, "Sorry, I didn't mean to give you a nickname." Ethan nodded and replied, "I know, but I've already ascended the throne. I'm the emperor now." Anna was completely dumbfounded. Seeing how serious he looked, she pinched her arm hard to stop herself, but the corners of her mouth still curled up uncontrollably until the driver finally couldn't hold back and snorted with laughter. Anna broke completely. Goose-like laughter echoed in the car the whole ride. Ethan calmly took out his earphones and started listening to English audio. As he got off the car, Anna called after him. She said, "Crown Prince, no Emperor. Will you still be riding in this humble commoner girl's car tomorrow?" Ethan nodded and replied, "Anna, you've truly won my imperial favor. I'll work hard and keep being your desk mate." She widened her eyes, and the teasing curve at the corners of her lips froze. Her pretty face flushed red in an instant. Under his concerned gaze, she became flustered and stammered, "Why? You should get going now." She waved her hands in a panic, rolled up the window, and quickly drove away. The next day, Ethan brought a bottle of milk as usual. This scene was spotted by Chloe, who happened to be stretching and rubbing her shoulders. She frowned instinctively. After they returned to their seats, Ethan tried talking to her, but she ignored him. Last time, in the math quiz, Ethan got 8 out of 10 questions wrong. The math teacher sighed deeply and told him to come to her office after class. Of course, he was happy to. He went often. Each time he had to pass by Chloe. After being called up for the nth time, Chloe finally couldn't take it anymore. Her repressed morning grumpiness was about to explode. She complained, "Which question don't you understand? I'll just teach you." Ethan accepted reluctantly. 2 days later, while she was explaining a problem to him, she suddenly clutched her chest in pain. Ethan poked her with the tip of his pen and asked, "What's wrong with you?" She slowly turned her head to look at him and said in annoyance, "I think you've stressed me into an irregular heartbeat." All right then. Ethan figured she was basically a half-official imperial tutor now, so he handed her his own bottle of milk. "Teacher Chloe," he said, "don't be mad, calm down. I'll keep working hard." She couldn't explode on him anymore and could only take the milk with a pout. Was she upset because he didn't bring her one before? Ethan probed, "Should I bring one for you next time too?" Her tone was full of complaint. "I had to lecture you till my mouth went dry before I got one bottle from you. Anna just gives you a ride, and you bring her milk every day? Knowledge really is worthless these days." Ethan frowned and retorted, "You can't say that. Knowledge is priceless." Chloe snorted and ignored him again. Ethan was about to go ask Anna a question when Chloe turned her head and pretended to sleep, refusing to move and let him pass. Left with no choice, he had to use that trick. He had dermatographia, also called skin writing disease, so he used a pen to write big characters on his arm and stretched it under Chloe's desk. It said, "Don't be mad anymore. I'll bring it for you from now on." The next second, she gasped. Her pupils shook. "Are you allergic?" Ethan replied, "Nope, it doesn't hurt or itch, don't worry." After he explained, her lips pressed tightly together. She looked both angry and helpless. Ethan asked cautiously, "I'm trying to make it up to you. Aren't you happy?" In ancient times, there were heroes who carved words into their flesh to show loyalty to the nation. Today, here I am. I, Emperor Ethan, humbling myself to mingle with the commoners, getting a tattoo just to fool people. Quite the charismatic act, isn't it? Chloe blushed to the tips of her ears when she heard this. She rested one hand on her cheek, hiding part of her face with her fingertips, and said softly, "Fine, since you're so sincere. From now on, you can ask me for help with other subjects too, not just math. But you can't pull this kind of stunt again, got it?" "Wait, really?" Ethan was overjoyed, but he couldn't help feeling a little suspicious. Is milk really that popular? It's from his dad's friend's factory. They deliver it to him every day. He only gave it to Anna because he thought it tasted bad. No idea how the girls ended up loving it. Chapter 4. An Imperial Confrontation. Just as Ethan was about to get in the car, he noticed Anna's expression didn't look too good. At the same time, There was someone else standing nearby. Chloe looked at him and smirked. My driver's unavailable today, too. Mind if I squeeze in with you guys? Ethan nodded and stepped back, planning to sit in the front passenger seat. Anna and Chloe spoke up at the same time. Wait a second. Before they could finish, a familiar voice cut in. Ethan, who are they? He turned his head. It was Serafina, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. She looked grim, staring daggers at the three of them. Ethan asked her back, What are you doing here? Serafina was at a loss for words. Her gaze dodged a little, and she awkwardly tucked a stray hair behind her ear. She said, Didn't Carlos get hospitalized? I came to see if you wanted to ride in our car. Ethan replied, No need. The moment he rejected her, her expression turned sour. With embarrassment and frustration, she snapped. Ethan, you ditched me without a word and transferred to this crappy, unfamiliar school? Fine. I didn't even make a fuss when you ratted me out and even offered you an easy way to save face. And now what? You don't appreciate it at all. She glared at him and added, If you keep acting like this, I'm seriously done with you. When Ethan stayed silent, Serafina approached with a cold face and tried to grab him, only to be blocked by the book in Anna's hand. Anna rolled her eyes and said, Hilarious. If our school is crappy, then what's yours? A landfill. Serafina's face turned bright red. She bit her lip and snapped. I'm talking to Ethan. What's it to you? Anna replied, enunciating each word clearly. How dare you even? The Emperor's name isn't something you can just throw around. Go back to where you came from and stop getting in the way of his studies. Serafina's expression twisted in anger. She clenched her fists so tightly her nails dug into her palm and hissed. Ethan, let's see if you're man enough not to regret this. Regret? Ethan would rather use that time to solve one more question. While the two of them were facing off, Chloe silently handed him a set of listening comprehension exercises. She said, These are based on your weak areas. The circled parts are required. The rest is optional. Tears of gratitude nearly welled up. Thank you, Teacher Chloe, he said. She smiled and lowered her head to continue reading. When Anna finally returned triumphantly, she looked frustrated. She pouted and complained. Your Majesty, I chased that crazy girl off, and you didn't even look up at me once. Ethan took off his earphones and nodded. To show his appreciation, he said, Anna, you've done a great service in defending your emperor. You shall be greatly rewarded. With your assistance, how can I not bring peace to the realm? Her eyes lit up. My thanks, Your Majesty. I'll continue to do my best. At the same time, she cast a subtle glare at Chloe, who looked utterly unamused. The whole ride, the two of them sniped at each other with sarcasm, while the driver occasionally tried to mediate. Ethan started missing Carlos's quiet and reserved presence. Come to think of it, was his silence all this time just because his hemorrhoids hurt too much? Chapter 5. Imperial Decrees and Distractions. Over the weekend, while Ethan was casually scrolling through WeChat posts, as usual, he saw an official couple photo of Serafina and Liam. The caption read, Rather be a poor man's wife than a royal concubine. From now on, I'll only be your devoted partner. So she pulled him out of her block list just to show him this? She really likes broke guys. Is she trying to live out some humble wife helps ambitious men rise to glory storyline? Is this a kink? He didn't get it, and he wasn't giving it a like. Next post, Mom. Life is a vast wilderness, snowy mountains, highways, grasslands, plus the classic arms wide open pose. Cliché, lacks originality. No like. The next one. If you love me, then say it. A couple's motorcycle photo shoot in the hills. Lately, violating traffic laws. No like. Then came a photo of Anna in a flowing lilac chiffon dress, figure skating. He gave it a like. Flawless facial control, perfect proportions, like a magazine cover, truly pleasing to the eye. Chloe quickly replied under it. The only reason I liked your selfie was because it took guts to post that body, not because I thought you looked good. Soon after, Serafina called him. She asked, Don't you have anything you want to say to me? Ethan answered, Nope. She suddenly scoffed and said, I was going to forgive you if you just apologized, and we'd stay friends. But clearly, you're still so pathetic. Now, even if you beg me, I won't forgive you. Let's just delete each other. My boyfriend doesn't like it. Ethan replied, All right, goodbye. He ended the call, deleted her, blocked her, all in a single decisive imperial strike. Why didn't he do it earlier? because a sovereign of his caliber must not act on petty whims or fleeting emotion. An emperor's heart must be vast, his vision infinite. Nothing escapes his all-seeing gaze. He studies the rise and fall of dynasties, and he knows well, isolation breeds downfall. Thus, he patrols the realm of WeChat moments with tireless diligence to grasp the shifting tides of the mortal world. But as of today, Serafina was no longer a citizen of his empire. She had been exiled without the possibility of return, her name struck from the records. Just as he was about to inspect Anna's latest offerings, a message from Chloe pierced through the noise like a royal decree. I've compiled a few new types of math questions. Solve each using at least 2 methods. At that moment, a surge of divine energy coursed through him. He seized his pen, the Emperor's sword, and waged battle against logic and numbers. When the final theorem bowed before him, the hour had already passed midnight. Bathed in the cleansing light of intellect, he found serenity and drifted into slumber triumphant. Did he forget something? No matter. If it were truly worthy of an emperor's attention, it would have remembered him. Chapter 6. Imperial Progress and Petty Rivalries. Good news. Ethan had improved quickly and jumped to second to last place in the monthly exam. Bad news. That was only because the last place student took a leave of absence to attend a physics competition. Anna tried to comfort him. Your Majesty, you should compare yourself with your past self. You scored 32 more points than last time. That's amazing. Even Chloe surprisingly agreed. Yeah, at this rate, you'll catch up in no time. Ethan had just nodded when his new desk mate, David, let out a cold snort. He said, dreams are fine, but at least make them realistic. I don't believe someone who got in through connections actually cares about studying. Who knows how those scores even came about? Anna frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Ethan held her back and said calmly, Are you suggesting I cheated? David adjusted his glasses and said, I never said that. But I do have the responsibility to remind you. Cheating is taken very seriously in this class. Hey now, things were getting interesting. If someone targets him, that means they're jealous. And if they're jealous, it means he's doing something right. A qualified emperor must be tolerant, yes, but that doesn't mean he'll let slander go unpunished. Ethan leaned in close to David's ear, patted his shoulder, and gave a dark chuckle. Do you know what happened to the last guy who accused me of cheating? David swallowed hard. He was clearly nervous, but still forced himself to raise his voice. What? Are you going to use your fancy background to bully people? This isn't your private, elite school where you can do whatever you want. His raised voice caught the attention of classmates nearby who had been discussing questions. After they learned what happened, several people began defending Ethan. Someone said, David, you've got the wrong idea about Ethan. He's really serious and hardworking. No way he'd cheat. Another added, yeah, and he's sharp too. He asked me a question last time and even offered an alternative solution I hadn't thought of. Someone else said, don't judge people with prejudice. If he got into our class, he must have passed all the admission criteria. If you've got doubts, go ask the homeroom teacher. David's face turned pale, but he still tried to hold his ground and glared at Ethan. Don't get cocky. I'll be watching you. What did Ethan ever do to him? Chloe later explained. Back in our second year of high school, there was an Olympiad math competition held at your old school. David and I both attended. A girl accidentally knocked his glasses off and broke them. He asked her to pay for it, but she burst into tears. Then some guy stepped in to defend her and punched David. The more Ethan listened, the more familiar this sounded. Then Chloe added, and coincidentally, that same girl who came to see you at the school gate last time. That's the one who broke his glasses. Ethan was speechless. He turned to glance at David. He was angrily drawing a "do not cross" line on the desk, looking like he wished he could teleport away from him. Chapter 7. Imperial Observations and Misunderstandings. Since then, wherever Ethan went, he always felt a gaze following him like a shadow. He stretched lazily and strolled leisurely. Not bad, he thought. The Emperor, naturally deserve to have an imperial chronicler recording my words and deeds. This is the kind of treatment the Emperor, should receive. Although there was always this faint, inexplicable sound of someone grinding their teeth nearby. Until one day, he was late, right during the homeroom period with their head teacher. She stared at him for a long time, then suddenly ordered him harshly to stand in punishment at the front of the class. Besides David, who wore a gloating grin. Everyone else looked a little surprised. Ethan was probably the first student in this class to ever be punished like that. Anna and Chloe frowned deeply, opened their mouths as if to say something, but Ethan subtly raised his hand to stop them. I was late, and the teacher punished me. But if the teacher is late, I don't get to punish her. That's called perspective, he mused. It took her 30 years to get up on that podium, but I only needed to be late once. Isn't that success? He joyfully flipped his mindset and actually started finding the punishment kind of fun. After class, the head teacher called him to her office. She said, "Ethan, do you know why I made you stand as punishment?" He responded sincerely, "Because I was late." Her eyes grew a bit complicated, like she was holding back anger. She said, "Being late is a small matter, but don't you think you should explain why you were late today?" Ethan answered, "My alarm broke and I couldn't get out of bed." The head teacher sighed, pulled out her phone, and showed him a video. The footage showed him cornering a girl in a narrow alley. She was sitting on the ground trembling. He stood over her, saying, "You don't need to know who I am, and don't tell your parents, or else." At that moment, he seemed to sense someone nearby. He turned around, and the video cut off. The footage was shaky. Clearly the person filming was scared. Faced with the disappointment in her eyes, Ethan paused and asked, "Can I ask who filmed this?" Her expression turned sharp. "Are you planning to go after the person who filmed it?" "Ethan, I don't care what kind of person you were at your old school, but at our school, we do not tolerate bullying. Do you understand?" Ethan sighed and said, "I didn't believe anyone. I saved her today. Carlos had something come up at home, so I figured since I was already late, I might as well take the bus on my own. I cut through the alley as a shortcut and saw a girl choking, her face pale. Probably ate something too fast and got stuck. I performed the Heimlich maneuver, slapped her back to help her breathe. Luckily, she finally came around, then sat on the ground catching her breath. I stood up exhausted and tried to comfort her, but she started rambling about how she wanted her parents to make a banner to thank me. I quickly stopped her. I'd nearly been falsely accused for helping someone before. Gotta be cautious, especially since there were no security cameras around. Didn't expect that kind of footage to end up being recorded anyway, and the angle blocked her completely. It only captured my face. The head teacher clearly didn't believe me and kept staring at me with suspicion. I said, "Don't worry, teacher, I'll find that girl to testify for me." She thought for a moment, then said, "All right, I'll give you the day off. If you need to access surveillance footage, just use my name. I hope this is all a misunderstanding. If I've wrongly accused you, I'll publicly apologize to you in front of the whole class." Ethan froze for a second, then his expression softened a bit. Honestly, having a teacher this responsible was a blessing for the students. Chapter 8, The Emperor's Investigation. Smack. Ethan slammed the table hard and shouted in anger, "I, the Emperor, have fallen into a trap." After he told the whole story to his curious classmates, everyone decided to help however they could. Anna stood up and declared, "We're going to investigate her, even if we have to follow her outside of school." Chloe was more rational. She pulled out an A4 sheet of paper and said, "Describe her appearance. That way, we can work more efficiently." Ethan felt truly comforted and replied, "There's no doubt, the Imperial Advisor is one of my most loyal and valuable ministers." Only David scoffed in disdain. "Emperor, please, the feudal age died centuries ago. Keep flattering him blindly. Just know, the higher you lift him, the harder the fall will be." Ethan looked at him in surprise, and he had to admit, David did have a point. So he responded, "Very well. One who dares point out the Emperor's flaws deserves a great reward." David froze, stunned, and Ethan took the chance to shove into his hand the disgusting milk he didn't want to drink. David gritted his teeth and said, You. Apparently, his upbringing didn't allow him to waste food. Amid the group's laughter, he was left there holding that hot potato, his face turning completely green. Once they finished the sketch, the others photocopied it and went off to the other classrooms to search for the girl. Anna and Chloe went to check the school's entrance security footage and found that the girl hadn't shown up today. Luckily, they managed to confirm which class she belonged to and got her contact info. But her testimony alone wasn't enough. They needed objective evidence. Otherwise, they couldn't rule out the possibility she might lie under threat. Ethan returned to the scene to investigate. Several cars were parked nearby. If any had captured footage with their dash cams, that would be perfect. He left that task to his dad. As for him, he, of course, went home to rest. After all, it was a rare day off. However, after only 20 minutes of sleep, Ethan couldn't resist and started doing exercises. A worthy emperor must be diligent and disciplined, never falling into indulgence and laziness. He smiled while muttering, "Summoning everyone just for something so trivial? Don't you people have anything better to do? Polar coordinates and parametric equations, good for you, aligning just in time. But if you challenge me, the emperor, it won't end well. Functions and derivatives, you always try to embarrass me in front of everyone. One day, I'll wipe out your entire family." Ethan was so absorbed in his battle with the exercises that he lost all sense of the world around him, until he suddenly heard someone calling him. He looked up and froze. At some point, two heads had appeared at the window. One had a mischievous and sweet expression, eyebrows raised in a playful smile. The other looked cool and distant, but a faint smile touched her lips. It seemed they had been listening to him for a while. Anna blinked and said in English, "To see your majesty so full of life puts our hearts at ease." Ah, so they came to comfort him. Ethan quickly regained his composure, nodded calmly, and spoke with imperial serenity. "Thanks to my loyal ministers. Why don't you come in through the door like proper guests, and we'll solve these exercises together?" Catching the hint, Anna touched her nose a bit sheepishly and quickly said, "It was Chloe's idea. She was worried about you and dragged me along." Chloe ignored her, simply reached out, took Ethan's exercise sheet and asked, "Which ones can't you solve?" Just as she finished speaking, a cold gust of wind blew in from outside, and Anna sneezed. At the perfect moment, the three of them exchanged glances and then burst out laughing. "Today is the winter solstice," Ethan mused. "I wonder if it'll snow this year. I've already started looking forward to it." Chapter 9. Vindication and Confession. The next day, the girl Ethan had saved really came to the office with a commendation banner. When she heard he'd been misunderstood as a bully, she was furious. She snapped, "It must have been someone who has a grudge against you, spreading rumors on purpose." That video was cut so short, just one more second, and the truth would have come out. Meanwhile, Ethan's dad had successfully contacted the car owner and obtained the full dashcam footage. He was shouting about seeking justice for Ethan, but Ethan stopped him. After all, the misunderstanding was resolved, and that was enough. Besides, if he had actually been bullying someone, the person who filmed it would have been doing the right thing. The head teacher kept her promise and apologized to Ethan in front of the whole class. She said, "I must reflect on my own actions. I judged Ethan too quickly and even made him stand his punishment. I sincerely apologize. This incident has reminded me that as a teacher, I must have more faith in my students." Ethan was late because he was helping someone. That's something to be proud of. It deserves applause and recognition. As soon as she finished speaking, the class erupted into applause, all smiles on their faces. The head teacher gave a warm smile. She added, "The reward I promised will always be valid. Come to me any time to claim it." Ethan nodded, feeling a bit embarrassed because honestly, he did oversleep that day. After class, he gave a carton of milk to every student in the class as a thank you gift, including David. What surprised him was that apparently, it had actually helped out a bit yesterday too. Right now, David was quieter than usual, not even lifting his head the whole time. Ethan withdrew his gaze indifferently. But when David came out of the office looking downcast, Ethan suddenly popped out from around the corner and startled him. Absolute cruelty leads to tyranny. Too much kindness becomes weakness. A qualified emperor must temper mercy with an edge. Ethan said coldly, "I knew it was you. Now tell me, why did you slander me?" To his surprise, the next second, David dropped to his knees with a thud, his voice trembling. "This is all my fault. But I really thought you were bullying her at the time." Ethan was stunned. Once he processed what David said, he quickly reached out to pull him up, but David refused to rise, just kept muttering apologies. Face dark, Ethan said, "Stop kneeling already. What do you want people to think? I'm bullying you now." David sprang to his feet at once, though his lips were still quivering. Ethan led him to a quiet corner. He asked, "David, did you come after me because you were bullied once, and now you think I'm just like them? You've got the highest grade in political science in the whole class. How could you still make such a sweeping judgment?" His voice was thick with guilt. He said, I'm sorry. Ethan sighed. Well, since you're owning up to it so sincerely, I've decided. Let me tell you a little fairy tale. Chapter 10. The Prince and the Frog. Once upon a time, the Emperor and the Empress lived in a castle deep in the forest with their crown prince. David interrupted Ethan. Wait a minute. Isn't the cultural background of your story a bit messed up? Wasn't it supposed to be a royal prince who turns into a frog? But under the Emperor's majestic gaze, he lowered his head again. David's own story began. My mom passed away early. I was raised by my dad alone. When I was 8, my dad was working at a construction site. His wages had been delayed for a long time. To pay for my tuition, he went to confront the site manager multiple times, only to be insulted and even physically assaulted. My dad couldn't take it anymore. He gave the guy a shove, and the man stumbled backward, landing on a steel bar and dying on the spot. Fortunately, other workers testified in my dad's favor. He was sentenced to 3 years. I was entrusted to my uncle and aunt, but living under someone else's roof was tough. They often scolded me, calling me a jinx, saying my mom died because of me, and my dad went to jail because of me too. And if that's how the adults acted, the kids just followed suit. My cousin would grab me by the neck and punch me in the stomach. While hitting me, he'd curse, "Die, you damn jinx." It was during that time that I met Serafina. Serafina was a rich girl who came to spend summer at her grandma's place. When she saw what was happening, she stepped up without hesitation. She scolded my cousin for 2 full hours without repeating herself once. At that moment, I thought if a man could marry a woman like this, what more could he ask for? But when she found out I called myself the Crown Prince, she laughed too. She said, "Well, guess I'm getting a pretty good deal. But let's make one thing clear. You can only ever have me as your Crown Princess." Sadly, we were destined to go our separate ways. She wanted to be my one and only Crown Princess, but I couldn't remain the Crown Prince forever. Sooner or later, I had to ascend the throne. Fortunately, after my dad got out, our luck turned around. Our old house got demolished for redevelopment. He won the lottery. Then he caught the rise of the internet economy, and his business grew rapidly. He became a well-known nouveau riche. He told me I'd never have to worry about money for the rest of my life. At first, I was planning to just be a spoiled, useless ruler, but one day, I overheard a client bragging to my dad about how his son had gotten into a top-tier university. My dad stared at the acceptance letter in the photo for a long time. His face wore a polite smile, but in his eyes, I saw genuine envy. That same client who was praising my dad's son in front of him later made a call behind his back and sneered. "He's just some ex-con, a shallow upstart. His kid will grow up to be trash just like him." From that moment, I decided I'd start studying hard. A dragon's son will always be a dragon. David bowed his head even lower, as if guilt was about to crush him. He murmured, "Then this crown prince is really something." Ethan smiled faintly and said, "What I want to say is, don't let others define you. Always believe in yourself. A crown prince is still a crown prince, even if someone turns him into a frog. As long as he never forgets who he is, he'll never be stuck in the mud. Same goes for gold. Only a fool can't see its worth, but anyone with taste can spot its glow instantly." David froze. Ethan suddenly closed the distance between them, gripped his shoulders, and said sternly, "You're the same. A man should kneel to no one. Stand up straight. No kneeling allowed." Ethan knew David had always struggled with deep insecurity. The school regularly posted grade rankings on the bulletin board. While everyone else's photos showed confidence and pride, David's eyes were filled with fear and self-doubt. Even though he was already ranked second in the entire grade, people still stared at his photo and gossiped. "He looks like such a creep. How the hell did he get second place?" "Hey, keep it down." The first guy snapped back, "What? Oh, please stop simpering for him. Can't even speak the truth now." David glanced at Ethan, and to his surprise, his eyes were slightly red. The next second, "What are you two doing?" Anna and Chloe came down the stairs. Their uncertainty shifted back and forth between Ethan and David. Ethan was speechless, no idea what the two of them were imagining. He calmly brushed the dust off his clothes and said, "It's nothing. Class is about to start. Let's go." Chapter 11. Imperial Luncheon. The weather was getting colder, and many parents had started bringing lunch to their children. For Ethan, mooching lunch had become part of his daily routine. Anna always invited him enthusiastically to try the dishes prepared by her family's chef. They say they hired him with a large sum of money. Today's meal, as always, was delicious. Ethan nodded in satisfaction, and just as he was about to take another bite with his chopsticks, Chloe stopped him. Chloe said, "The rules of our ancestors are no more than 3 bites of the same dish, or you'll get tired of it. As the emperor, you should distribute imperial favor evenly. Come on, try mine." She had a point. Ethan nodded solemnly and redirected his chopsticks. Anna clicked her tongue and said, "Where did you get that rule from? Our emperor eats whatever he pleases." "Chloe, you're just jealous because he likes mine better, right?" Chloe rolled her eyes. "And you think your food's that good? Let him try mine first, and if he's disappointed, then you can mock me. Besides," she added seriously, "the emperor works day and night. He needs to strengthen his immune system, and that requires a balanced diet. Yours is full of fat and salt. How can he eat that?" Anna shot back, "What a hypocrite. Isn't mine nutritious too? I asked the chef to make sure it was balanced." "You pretentious coquette will say anything to drag me down." The two of them once again fell into their own little parallel world and couldn't escape. Ethan silently picked up his tray and returned to his seat. A moment later, David discreetly pushed a small pot of soup toward him, scratched his head and muttered, "It's black chicken soup my mom made. Really nutritious. Want to try it?" Truth be told, Ethan was already full, but if he turned David down, would he kneel again? So, to save face, he drank it all. Seeing David's eyes sparkle with anticipation, Ethan sincerely praised him. "Your mom's cooking is amazing, restaurant quality. If she opened one, it would be an instant hit." The corners of David's lips curled up proudly. "Wow, at least you know how to recognize something good," he said, clearly pleased. Ethan smiled without answering, cleaned the table, and got ready to continue with the exercises. Suddenly, David poked him with the tip of his pen and said, "If there's anything you don't understand, just ask me. After all, I'm better than Anna." That was a pleasant surprise. Ethan had long wanted to learn David's study methods and said excitedly, "My loyal subject, your willingness to ease my burdens truly pleases me. A reward is in order." David kicked his chair back, about to express his gratitude for the imperial grace, but Ethan swiftly pressed him down. Chapter 12. New Year's Surprises. The shadows passing under the camphor trees gradually changed from 3 people to 4. As winter deepened, our clothes grew thicker too. Before we realized it, the new year had arrived. As a proper nouveau riche family, we loved decorating the house in red and gold. Lively, festive, the whole works. On the 5th day of the new year, my friends were supposed to come over to celebrate. My dad was bustling in the kitchen, all smiles in his apron, eager to cook them a hearty meal to thank them for helping me with school. Unfortunately, before the friends arrived, the exiled one did. Still in his apron, Dad came out with a cheerful grin, only to frown the second he saw Serafina. Well, if it isn't Miss Lou herself. A humble nouveau riche family like ours surely isn't worthy of such a guest. Serafina stood there with a New Year gift, fidgety and sheepish. "Uncle Wong," she said, "I was wrong before. I came today to apologize to Ethan for the way I acted." She paused, then added, "My dad said our families still do business together, so I shouldn't ruin the relationship because of personal stuff. Most likely, her family sent her to smooth things over." Ethan glanced at the tea cake in her hand. It was the kind his dad liked. Well, no reason to refuse it. He patted his dad on the shoulder and said, "It's the new year. A guest is a guest." His dad gave a cold snort and returned to the kitchen. Now the living room was just Ethan and Serafina. From the beginning, she hadn't dared look him in the eye. Ethan poured her a glass of water. He asked, "Uncle Lou and the others doing well lately?" Serafina took the cup and forced a smile. "They're good. They mention you a lot. Say it's been too long since you visited." Ethan smiled back. "Been busy with school. I'll drop by when I get the chance." Once the small talk ended, silence fell. The atmosphere grew heavy and awkward. Ethan got up, planning to grab a set of practice papers, but she suddenly called out to him. Her eyes were slightly red at the corners, and her voice strained. "You really don't care about me at all anymore?" Ethan thought for a second and said, "Oh, you and your boyfriend doing okay?" Serafina shot to her feet, panic flashing across her eyes. "I broke up with Liam. No, we weren't even together. That WeChat post was just to get back at you." But when her eyes met his calm gaze, she quickly looked away like she'd been burned. Her voice dropped even lower. The truth is, the one I've always liked is. Suddenly, a sarcastic voice rang out. Well, well, is this the legendary crown princess I'm seeing? Anna cut her off with a grin, followed by a clearly unamused Chloe and David. Anna wore a modern red Cheongsam-style outfit, her bangs brushed up into a fluffy bun, adorned with the hair clip Ethan gave her. His eyes lit up. He genuinely praised her. Red suits you. You look beautiful. Anna blushed, gave a little snort, and mumbled, If your majesty likes it, I'll wear it more often. His dad popped his head out, voice uncharacteristically warm. Dinner will be ready in 30 minutes. Thank you, uncle. They all chimed. As Anna began questioning why Serafina was even here, Chloe stepped in front of Ethan, blocking his view with a smile. I made a new targeted worksheet based on your final exam mistakes. Want to see it? Ethan answered, yes. He took her hand and headed upstairs. A faint smirk played at her lips, barely concealing the glimmer of satisfaction in her eyes. David noticed first. He gritted his teeth and muttered, Anna, are you dumb? They're already gone. Anna realized it a bit too late and stomped in frustration. Forget Serafina. She stormed up the stairs. David crossed his arms and turned to face Serafina, whose face had gone pale. She stared blankly toward the stairs, stunned that she had just been completely forgotten. After savoring her defeated expression for a moment, David delivered the final blow. He sneered. Would have been a perfect fairy tale ending. Too bad. When your character doesn't match your role, disaster's bound to follow. You built your golden house, but the girl inside was never meant to stay. Serafina's head snapped up. She understood every word. Her eyes burned, and she could no longer hold back the tears. When all the dishes were finally ready, Ethan glanced toward the living room. Only the untouched glass of water remained on the table. No one mentioned her, and he didn't ask. Everyone else was cheerful and relaxed. New year, new beginnings. Chapter 13, The Emperor's Triumph. Once the new semester started, it was full speed ahead with last-minute reviews and patching up knowledge gaps. My desk mates rotated from David to Anna to others. Some classmates were recommended for direct admission, some were headed overseas. In the end, only about a dozen of us were taking the National College Entrance exam the traditional way. Ethan became the focus of every subject teacher. They called him a dark horse and said that meant he needed to be pushed harder, no room for slacking. Already spinning like a top, he got pulled for even more extra sessions. He started wishing he could split his sleeping hours in half just to get more time in. But he genuinely enjoyed this feeling of every bit of effort yielding something in return. The kingdom he ruled as the emperor, was flourishing in the monotony of school. School time finally marched its way to June. With the ringing of the final exam bell, everything was over. His dad came to pick him up, grinning from ear to ear, but didn't ask him a single thing. Ethan figured his dad must be really confident in how he did. Until score release day, when he caught him secretly burning incense at the altar for his mom. His hands trembling, he whispered, Empress Dowager, you've got to bless our emperor. Let him slap those treacherous ministers and rebels in the face, real hard. The results page took forever to load. Still no score in sight. His dad forced a smile and said, maybe you filled in your answer sheet wrong. It's okay, son, we'll just try again next year. Ethan pointed to the fine print at the bottom. Dad, why don't you read that line? His dad leaned in closer to the screen, squinting, his eyes growing wider and wider. It said, your ranking is within the top 50 in the entire province. Please check the full details on the 27th. He looked like he had entered another dimension. Only when the phone rang did he snap out of it. Suddenly, he jumped up and let out 3 loud laughs. Huh, huh, huh. The Wong family finally produced a once-in-a-generation genius. My dear wife, I knew you were watching from above. Sob, sob, sob. He laughed and cried like he'd won the lottery jackpot. Ethan patted him on the shoulder and said, Dad, pick up the phone. He wiped his tears, glanced at the caller ID, and instantly plastered on a wide grin. Yo, old Sullivan. The scores? Oh, nothing special, just top 50 in the whole province. That's all. Oh, wait, gotta go. The homeroom teacher's calling. He was laughing so hard his belly jiggled, striding off in huge steps. Chapter 14, Imperial Family Gathering. On the day we filled out our college applications, 4 of us gathered together. Chloe chose Shanghai University. David and Ethan both chose Peking University. Anna had already received an offer from a top international university. She was headed abroad to celebrate. Ethan's dad picked a lucky day and booked out a hotel to host a graduation banquet for him. Ethan requested a private room, also to give Anna a proper send-off. At the table, Anna was quieter than usual, clearly preoccupied. Chloe and David were acting kind of strange too. Just then, Ethan's dad came in carrying the last dish. He beamed and announced, "Wishing you all success. Luck like a dragon rising from the sea. Wings to soar. Bright futures. Top scores. Prosperity and everything going your way. Okay, now the menu is complete." Anna blushed and looked at him, saying, "Uncle, you're really so good to Ethan. I love the warmth in your family. I wish you were my dad." Ethan's dad smiled so hard his mouth practically reached his ears. He said, "Oh, you flatter me," then turned and immediately recorded a voice message to Uncle Sullivan. "Your daughter doesn't want you anymore." Chloe's face went black. Ethan glanced around at them all, and suddenly it clicked. He understood. So he waved his hand and declared, "What's there to be embarrassed about? How about this? From today on, you all officially recognize my dad as your godfather. From now on, we won't be just friends. We'll be imperial family brothers and sisters in title." David speechless. Chloe also speechless. Anna's eyes widened as she shot to her feet. She bit her lip and blurted out, "That's not what I meant. I was trying to say, Emperor, I." Chloe quickly pinched her mouth shut and explained, "We're about to part ways soon." She's just emotional. She emphasized part ways, and Anna froze without denying it. After Ethan's dad left with a cheerful smile, Anna glared fiercely at Chloe. She huffed coldly. "The future's long. Let's see who wins in the end." Chloe took a calm sip of tea and replied, "Looking forward to it." David muttered, "No official titles, no status, and you all are already acting out a palace drama? Shameless." The 2 girls instantly turned their weapons on him. A verbal battle was inevitable. Ethan quietly slipped away from the war zone. Just as he stepped outside, he bumped into Serafina. She looked pale and haggard. Word was she'd been sick recently. Her exam scores had been poor, and the Liu family had decided to send her abroad. As for Liam, he didn't do well either. Ethan had read in a WeChat post that after being rejected repeatedly, he'd slapped Serafina in a fit of rage. The 2 of them had added plenty more fuel to the school gossip fire. Ethan, the Emperor, had read it. Quite satisfying. So he gave it a like. Chapter 15, Imperial Futures. Serafina pressed her lips together, looking a bit cautious. She said, "Ethan, I'm going abroad." Ethan nodded. Safe travels." She opened her mouth again, wanting to say more, but a few others walked over and cut her off. David grabbed Ethan, dragging him forward excitedly. "Don't bother with them," he said. "They're about to light the fireworks. If we don't go now, we'll miss it." Ethan replied, "All right." They walked ahead together. Anna and Chloe followed soon after, and Serafina finally realized she couldn't even touch the hem of his coat anymore. Whoosh! A dazzling fireworks display exploded in the night sky, illuminating all of their futures. Ethan tilted his head back, quietly admiring it. Under his rule, the rivers run clear, the seas are calm. The times are harmonious, the harvests are bountiful. From this point on, may the road ahead be smooth.